Hi there, Aaron Walter here. If you're hearing this, you're not currently on our premium subscriber feed. Design Better premium subscribers enjoy weekly episodes, 4 episodes per month in total, rather than 2, all ad-free and invitations to our monthly AMAs with the smartest folks in design and tech. You'll hear a preview of this episode, but if you'd like to hear the full conversation, please consider becoming a premium subscriber at designbetterpodcast.com/subscribe. It's just $7 a month, and it supports not only your personal growth, it also makes our work at Design Better possible. The podcast is available to everyone through our scholarship program. If you can't afford a subscription, email us at subscriptions@thecuriositydepartment.com, and we'll help you out.
You're taking three-dimensional objects and then creating almost a two-dimensional object, the final poster. And for a lot of folks, the fact that there's no computer involved except to email the proof to you every day gets more and more foreign.
Back in 2010, I got to visit Hatch Show Print in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a small print shop with a storied history that began in 1879. Hand-cut woodblock type and illustrations filled the shelves around the presses that were busy producing posters for famous bands and artists. In fact, Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, Bob Dylan, Elvis Presley, and so many other legendary folks have used Hatch Show Print to promote their tours. And their aesthetic has been a huge influence on design for more than 100 years. And they're still producing beautiful print work today and operate out of the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum.
We spoke with Celene Aubry, Associate Director and Manager at Hatch Show Print, about the origins of Hatch Show, the role of letterpress in the digital era, and why their mantra is preservation through production, as well as the challenges and joys of working with old tools and how they're going about educating the next generation of letterpress designers. This is Design Better, where we explore creativity at the intersection of design and technology. I'm Eli Woolery.
And I'm Aaron Walter. To learn more about the benefits of being a premium Design Better subscriber, visit designbetterpodcast.com/subscribe. It's the best way to support the show. We'll return to the conversation after this quick break.
Design Better is supported by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Whether you're cooking for yourself or your family, it's hard to keep up with meal planning, grocery shopping, and cooking. At the end of a busy workday, it's hard to muster the energy to put together a healthy meal. Cut down on time spent in the kitchen so you can get back to enjoying the summer sunshine and the people you love, thanks to HelloFresh's quick and easy recipes. Every week's menu features options that are ready in 20 minutes or less. That's even quicker than delivery. Also, if your kids are like mine, it's sometimes hard to get them to eat a healthy meal, and you end up making 2 dinners, one for adults and one for kids. HelloFresh's line of kid-friendly recipes are picky eater-proof and perfect for families looking to shake up their dinner recipe rotation while school's out for the summer. Go to hellofresh.com/designbetterapps for free appetizers for life. 1 appetizer item per box while subscription is active. That's free appetizers for life at hellofresh.com/designbetterapps.
Design Better is sponsored by BetterHelp. For many of us, the biggest source of stress in our lives is our work. Politics, organizational change, the demands of the job all add up. And before you know it, you can find yourself burned out and emotionally exhausted. Sound familiar? You can't do your best work if you're not at your best. Therapy is an effective way to work through it all and develop positive mental health. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and to work with your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire online to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. BetterHelp can help you get the support that you need. Visit betterhelp.com/designbetter to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/designbetter. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. You know, one of the greatest gifts that my parents gave me is the basics of financial literacy. And now, as a parent to a 14 and a 10-year-old, I want to pass on that same literacy so my kids are set up for success in life. So years ago, I set up our boys with Greenlight, a debit card and money app made for families. Their allowance is automatically deposited into their account Friday evenings, and it's divided into 3 buckets: spending, saving, and giving. With Greenlight's investing tools, I've helped my kids learn how to invest in stocks and mutual funds, and they've been able to watch those investments grow. This past January, my boys each made charitable contributions of their own money in sizable amounts to nonprofits doing work that they believe in, and that was only possible because Greenlight automatically sets aside money from their allowance. They're so proud of what they did, and I gotta say, so am I. I talk to my kids about money all the time, but the lessons that hit home the most are the ones that come from the real world. They're able to be independent with a debit card and track their money in the Greenlight app. Before you know it, your kids are going to be leaving home to build a life. Do they have the financial literacy that they need for success? Greenlight can help you prepare them. Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/designbetter. That's greenlight.com/designbetter to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/designbetter. And now, back to the show. Celene Aubry, thank you so much for joining us on the Design Better podcast.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, Celene, we've been big fans of Hatch Show Print for a long time. I toured the Broadway shop back in the day. I think it's probably 2012 would be my guess. And I was struck by a few things. One, the beauty, the history, the character of the shop and people doing the work, and most importantly, all of the wood blocks that are on the shelves and around the walls, the presses and so forth. And then one other thing really struck me was how open and welcoming Hatch Show Print is. Given its 140-some year history, it was founded in 1879, one might expect that such a venerable place that's had such influence on Americana, American music, American culture, that it would be more guarded, but it's very open. Could you just talk to us a little bit about Hatch's history and the philosophy that drives it?
It's nice to hear you reflect that, because that is one of the things that we try to maintain as much as we possibly can. I mean, the shop opened in 1879 in Nashville, founded by 2 brothers, Charles and Herbert. And at the time, Nashville was one of the largest printing cities in the country, because most Bibles, hymnals, and other religious publications were published and printed in Nashville by the churches. And so the city knew about print. They knew raw materials would come in via trains and rivers, and the finished products would go out probably the same way. And so when they established the shop, right off the bat, they had all the connections, the resources to do the work they needed to do and wanted to do. And what they found almost immediately, we sort of imagined based on some of the blocks they cut in the very early years of the shop and the trajectory of the shop's business, was that there was a need and a demand for posters and billboards advertising live entertainment. And they cut their own type in the shop that's 40 inches tall and 80 inches tall, and then other sizes of type. They design and cut the imagery. At that point in time, they did a lot of hand-lettered, hand-cut wood blocks, as well as the style, visuals in the style of the time. Alas, when the second generation took over, it's great because he built a shop on 4th Avenue right across the street from the back doors of the Ryman Auditorium. And that place soon became almost a thoroughfare going across 4th Avenue, as it was going up and down 4th Avenue, because when the Grand Ole Opry moved in, Hatch began to really pick up its business doing posters, advertising those stars as they toured the country. But he cleaned house, if you will, got rid of a lot of the things that he thought were outmoded, old-fashioned. A lot of the visual style that we identify with are what Will T, the second generation of Hatch family that owned the shop, and his staff did, which is that bold American wall-to-wall, edge-to-edge, top-to-bottom color, bold graphics. And of course, accompanied by the handset wood and metal type. Honestly, we carry that tradition on. They really defined live entertainment most definitely in the South, but then it would filter out in fingers when they did posters for the Grand Ole Opry when they were touring from as far away as Alaska to California to Maine to Florida and Texas. And so that was often the wallpaper, so to speak, of definitely parts of the South, definitely Nashville, and has continued to be. We carry on the tradition. The shop has always been democratic with a little d. So anybody who needed a poster or an advertisement was welcome to come in the front doors and order their posters. The shop has historically done a lot of work with any community or any citizen in the community who needed work. And that did include working with African American businesses here in the South when the South was segregated. There were basically, if you want to simplify it, two economies because of segregation. And Hatch worked with Black-owned businesses, movie theaters, and other businesses, as well as stars of the Grand Ole Opry to the furniture stores that were in the neighborhood around where the shop was. To this day, we carry that tradition forward. We're democratic with a little d, so our clients come to us and they're going to tell us what they want on the poster. They give us the words, but to this day, we still design the poster. So the design process has never left the shop. And I think that's a key to its longevity, I think, is that you know what your tools are, you know them inside and out. You can flex them to use for a live show, for a business, for a conference or a trade show, new businesses in Nashville in the 21st century, wedding posters, movie props, television props, whatever. You can flex those, and it's the same foundation, but it does come across and looks different based on the subject and the purpose of the poster, which is what we do mainly today. And you know how to react to what's happening. So in the mid-20th century, the shop was super busy, but the posters went from these massive billboards that were all, billboards all used to be paper, and in sheet size, 26 by 40 inches was approximately the size of a sheet. And so customers would come to the shop and they say, well, I just rented a billboard and it's 60 sheets. And so the shop would devise a 60-sheet billboard. But after World War II, when the opportunities for entertainment, television, movies, radio, rock and roll rolled out to the scene, you could see Elvis on one side of town. You could see the variety shows or the minstrel shows that had been touring since the turn of the 20th century on the other side of town. And they both used Hatch. And then you had country music and all of those folks. And that was just blowing up in the mid 20th century. And those folks needed thousands, if not millions of posters. And so that's when the shop said, okay, well, we can't spend all day or half a day carving a great image of Roy Acuff for a poster. Let's just use a photo plate, which was the latest and greatest technology of the time, make the poster smaller, and we'll sort of devise this recipe, look around, see what other print shops are doing, do the mid 20th century boxing style poster, and then we can create more posters, produce them faster, get them out there faster, and satisfy this demand. And then late 20th century, early 21st century, we don't need posters to tell you or sell you anything. Everybody's carrying this information around in their pockets. There's a story of friends of ours, friends of the shop, who are a band, and they were coming to Nashville to play Americana Fest, and they were going to stop on the way and play a show midway between North Carolina and here. And we said, when are we going to see you? And they said, well, we got to stop and play the show. And we said, well, we just saw on our phones that show was canceled. So just come on to Nashville and we'll take you to dinner or something like that. We know now before sometimes the artists know that where they're playing and what they're going to be doing. So they don't need to tell you or sell you. They're become a commemorative piece of going to the show or the experience. If it's a trade show or a conference, we do posters for folks that are coming to our 11-year-old convention center across the street from us here in Nashville. And it's large enough that it competes with Javits in New York and McCormick Place in Chicago. And so folks are coming to Nashville for their conferences and they want something unique. So we'll do a poster for that. But it's more of a commemorative thing. It doesn't have to serve a purpose other than to celebrate that time in Nashville or that gathering in Nashville. And, you get a logo on there or you get the brand name in there, and then they hand those out, and then that goes home, and that's a mild marketing or sales tool. But at this point, the process of letterpress printing is defunct technology. It's very slow, quite outmoded. We have to maintain our own presses. And so part of our process is preservation through production. Using the presses, using the type preserves it. It preserves the knowledge, gets our name out there, but education is folded right into that. And so when people come into the shop, just like you did, and they are curious and they ask questions, we want to answer those questions because that might spark something in their imagination where there's a connection down the road. Or at the very least, they have a moment of inspiration or fun seeing all these people working with these ridiculously old pieces of technology, creating these very colorful prints. We like doing what we do. And I think because the end result is so visual, it's fun to be able to show that off as we're actually doing it. It's like one of the joys of videos, TikTok or videos on social media now is that you can see your favorite candy rolling off the line as it's being made and things like that. And I think for folks to see it live and in person is quite a treat.
Can you walk us through that process of laying out a poster and then into production?
Sure. Most simply put, letterpress printing is letters pressed into paper with ink in between. And so at Hatch, we're using the same type that Charles and Herbert purchased.
If you'd like to continue listening to this conversation, you'll need to subscribe at designbetterpodcast.com/subscribe. Once you do, you'll get access to every full-length episode, all ad-free, monthly AMAs with inspiring people in design and tech, and recordings of all our past AMAs. The podcast is available to everyone through our scholarship program. If you can't afford a subscription, just email us at subscriptions@thecuriositydepartment.com and we'll help you out. Your support makes Design Better possible. Invest in yourself and the design community by subscribing at designbetterpodcast.com.